Hello, friends. It's Terry with Terry's Mailbox, and today I'm presenting for Altenew. They've just released a Craft Your Life project kit, Magnolia and Blooms, and I love this set. I had so much fun creating. So again, you'll see a red arrow in the bottom right part of your screen. Would love to have you subscribe to my YouTube channel. I do a lot of florals and really enjoy them. So here is the stamp set. So look at all those cool sentiments that come with it in addition to that corner bloom. And you can see I'm showing you with an A2 card approximately how much of an A2 card front it would cover. So again, what I love is that Altenew always provides layering guides. And again, it gives you color ideas. It also helps you line the stencils up. So very, very helpful that they provide this with their stamps. So here's the die, and again, you can see it cuts the corner florals out. Here's the embossing folder, which mimics the corner florals. And here is the stencil set. Lots of layers with leaves and florals, etc. So here, what I ended up doing is I stamped the floral image with black obsidian pigment ink from Altenew, and I'm using just a clear embossing powder on it. And I'm going to go ahead and heat dry that and use that for the first stamp or first set that I do. So again, here I'm lining up. I've got a silicone mat here, and I'm going to go ahead and tape that stencil down. And what I'm doing is I pulled out my artist watercolors from Altenew. I love this set. It's just a very bright, deep colors, really, really easy to watercolor with. So as you can see, I'm doing a watered down first layer. Again, not a whole lot of color. Just kind of want to get some watercolor down and get it done down lightly. Then I'm heat setting it. And again, that's the trick when you're doing using watercolor with stencils, because if you were to put that second layer on top of the wet layer, it would wick out. So again, by heat drying, you can actually add the second layer. And I learned this from the Stenciling 101 class from Altenew. So again, I've remembered this and I've been wanting to try it. So this set just seemed like the perfect set to do this with. I am working on watercolor cardstock, by the way, and I also use watercolor cardstock for the second set of blooms that I'll show you. So again, just filling in and coloring in that second layer and going ahead and heat drying it. And then I'm going to skip ahead here. You can see I've done extra blooms. And what I'm doing right now is I'm actually using a darker green and a fine tipped paintbrush to add the details. So again, just kind of coloring in the nooks and crannies and just, really giving it more depth. And you can see I'm moving this thing all over the place so that I can start at the bottom so that my extra dimension looks real, basically. So just finishing that part up. And then I got to finish those leaves. So now here what I'm doing is I'm using one of the blue watercolor paints, and I'm adding color to the background around the floral. So I'm filling in all the blanks here. And again, the watercolor will be deeper or heavier, darker, right around that outline of the flowers. And then what I'll do is add water and just kind of move it out and blend it out towards the edges. And to me, this is where using embossing, by heat embossing the image, it really helps to, control the images. So now I'm just going back and doing the same thing as I did with the leaves and adding additional depth there, a little bit brighter color there on the leaves, and again, kind of moving the image all over the place so they can come from the bottom or from the center. I also stamped one of the images in a lighter, very light ink, as you can see, because again, I wanted to kind of do some no line, quote unquote, no line watercoloring. And so here I'm just kind of doing the same thing, adding a little bit of additional texture to the blooms. And you can see here I'm using kind of the bright yellows on this particular floral set. So we're just kind of going to color these guys all in and just move it around. And, it's kind of a cool trick to be able to add the extra depth to the blooms. I think it made a lot of sense. So again, I really love the Altenew Craft Your Life kits. I own several of them, and I think they're just beautiful. You know, when it comes with a stamp set, an embossing folder, stencils, and a die that all go together, I mean, it just, you can't go wrong. You absolutely cannot go wrong. And they can be used in so many different ways. You can just do the stamp and stencil, you can do the stamp and die, you can emboss and stencil the image. Just really, really a lot of great opportunity for unique projects. So here I've got it all done, and what I'm doing now is I'm pulling out the embossing folder. And so I'm gonna line it up here, and I figured, uh-oh, I had to trim that top off just a little bit so that I could get it within that, within the embossing folder and match it up. And you can see how easy it is to match up the outlines to the outline of the flowers. So I'll go ahead and run it through my embossing folder and look at the depth that you get. Isn't that cool? I was really pleased with the way this one turned out. So the next thing I decided to do was to add some splatters. Had to put some splatters on it. These are orange and yellow splatters that coordinate with the colors that I used to paint the image. And I did this one exactly the same as I did the first one. Here's the third card that I'm doing, and what I'm doing here is I cut a little triangle to cut out that center, the stamen of that one big bloom, because I didn't want to have to try to put yellow over blue and purple. So first thing I'm doing is I'm using Sea Breeze and just kind of adding that gorgeous blue color. So I'm kind of ink blending here. I wanted you to kind of see what the difference is between the cards that are ink blended and the ones that are painted. So again, once I get a good layer on there, we'll go ahead and move to the next layer. Get that matched up there. And I ended up using purple for the center. I decided to get a little creative here. And so the outside is that pretty blue, and then I used wisteria to go ahead and paint that, or to stencil that inside. Thought that was fun. So I will list all the colors I used on my blog post when I put them up. So again, just really, really loving this blue and purple. Thought that was pretty. And so then at some point here, I'll pull that Post-it note off the center and color it in yellow. So now I've moved on to the blooms. I've already done the other lighter purple. So here are the three bases that I have. The first two are watercolored. That one has texture on it from the embossing folder. And this one is only stenciled, so I did not emboss it. It is only stenciled. I did die cut it out, however, and I'm adding it to the front of that front of the card, and that is the Garden Harmony embossing folder. I thought that was kind of cool and would add just a nice background there. So I've added a lot of white glue there on the die cut, and we'll go ahead and add that to the front of this card. And then I'll trim whatever is hanging off the edge here a little bit later. And then I also took one of the nesting slimline label dies, and I only need part of it. I stamped the sentiment on the side of it so that I could just kind of bring that in from the side. And I thought that was an interesting look. So I always put acrylic blocks to let my things dry. So now I have that watercolor paper, and I've added some tacky glue to the back. I always put a layer of tacky glue around the edges so that my edges get attached well. And then I add just like tape runner in the middle. So there's that one. And then here is the last one, which I actually trimmed down and then added on the front of an orange color card to pull out that bright orange in the center of those flowers. So I also stamped three of the sentiments that I thought went together. You know, never give up, you are amazing. Um, and so I'm trimming those. And then I'm going to just make banners to put on the front of the card. And so I'm trimming those, and kind of cleaning them up a little bit when you use the powder on there. Sometimes it gets a little messy, so had to kind of clean it up. So again, I'm trying to figure out where, where I want to put it. And I want to go ahead and trim kind of an angular piece off to the side. And then we'll go ahead and attach those to the front, off to the left. I like that. Again, that black just really, really pops. And I'm just trying to make sure they're straight. I suppose I could have gotten out my T-ruler, but I didn't think about doing that. So again, just kind of lining them up here. There we go. And we'll trim off those extra pieces. And then for the yellow card, I ended up stamping a sentiment on the front and an opening in orange. So there you can see that where I stamped the sentiment. Here is that purple card with the 3 sentiments, and here is that die-cut stenciled card. So I hope you've enjoyed my tour today. Again, it's Terry with Terry's Mailbox, and I'd love to have you subscribe. I'm on Facebook, Instagram, Blogger, and YouTube. And again, come join me. I do a lot with flowered stamps, and I really, really love Alta New products.